Hi, welcome to SBR Videos. I'm Peter Loshak. This is our very popular Into the Weekend with BetDSI show that we do every week. It's college football week 6. I had a list of like 10 games that I wanted to ask Brent about. Had to whittle them down to 3. And at the end, of course, we will get Brent's rundown of the sharp action that he's taken so far this week. Brent, I guess the first game I had to include Arkansas, Alabama, right? Last week, public was all over Alabama and they cashed with it. That game scared the crap out of me. And I'll admit this game this week against Arkansas scares the crap out of me as well, but I'm assuming if the public was all over Alabama last week, after that win in cash, they'll be all over them again this week, even as a big home favorite, right?
It's an assumption you can make, Peter.
Right.
No, I mean it's not crazy. If I look at our wager count, I mean, yeah, I've got about 3 times as many bets taken on Alabama, which is no surprise. My money's pretty much dead, even though I don't have anything like extremely sharp on this. When the line was 17, I know money did come on Arkansas, but of course that dropped right away. We're running 16 right now, and at 16 around this number, the like I said, the counts slightly favors Alabama. Again, 3-1 isn't a huge number, not this early in the week. So basically, right now in terms of money, it actually slightly favors Arkansas. I'm not going to say it's one of those public and sharp splits, but the only sharp bet I did get on this game was on Arkansas. Again, it was one of the opening numbers were at plus 17, so that was sharp. I do have sharp money on the under though. The under 50.5 is definitely sharp there. We're sitting down at 48 right now, and again, my wager count is probably dead even, slightly favoring the over, which is typical of public bettors betting the over, but I do have sharp money on the under 50.5, Peter.
Yep, early in the week I did a video on Tuesday where I said that I like the under in this one. And then another game to ask you about in terms of the total is Northwestern Michigan. This has one of the lowest totals I've seen in a while. Right now I think it's 34.5 or 35, and a pretty healthy spread considering how low the total is. Michigan is a favorite of more than a touchdown. So with such an unusual game like this, I'm wondering what the betting profile is. Is the public scared off it, or are they biting? And did the sharps come in on Northwestern as a big underdog with such a low total?
Yeah, it's kind of weird when you see totals as low as this one is. I mean, we're sitting at 35 right now, which is quite low. I mean, there's another game this week, I think, like Wake Forest, Boston College, that's around 36 or something like that. But yeah, it's for college football. You expect to see higher numbers, and you get your teams like TCU and Baylor when you're going under 89.5 and stuff like that. So to see a 35, yeah, that is kind of strange. Right now, I mean, I don't really have anything crazy in terms of the betting volume on this game. It's surprising that it's not taking more action. We're sitting at Michigan minus 7.5 right now, and as you mentioned, the total, we're sitting at 35. Again, nothing really on the total either. My count's pretty much dead even on the over and under. Sidewise, I definitely have a strong count and strong money in favor of Northwestern, though. My actual wager count is about 3-1 in favor of Northwestern, and my money is almost 3-1 in favor of Northwestern as well. So it's interesting to see them backing Northwestern as a 7.5-point dog at Michigan.
So I did notice that this line went down a little bit from the opener, but that wasn't sharp action. You're saying that was basically the public coming in on Northwestern?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's guys with deeper pockets who are capable of moving a number, and again, it's a situation where someone might say, well, if the guy wasn't sharp, why did you move the number? It's like, well, you take a 5-dime bet, you move the number no matter who it is, and especially when you're early in the week. Now, later on in the week, when you get sharp action, you see what the number is and where the sharps are going, then you kind of can sit back and take a 5-10 dime bet and not move your number. But early in the week, yeah, you're going to move off any 5-dime bet no matter who it is.
All right, and then the next game I want to ask about is TCU at Kansas State. So TCU, of course, off a massive, big blowout win. Here they're a road favorite at Kansas State. I'm assuming this is a big public side. Kansas State is often a team that the sharps like to come in on, but not necessarily every week by any means. I'm assuming that the public's all over TCU by a big margin, and I'm wondering if sharp action came in on Kansas State.
Yeah, it is a big margin in terms of the wager count in favor of TCU. We're talking like almost 5-1, which is really quite big. There's a lot of public money on TCU, of course. Now, I did get what we're going to call respectable money on both sides of this game, depending on the number you're talking about. Now, TCU -9 was some what we call respectable money, and also plus 10.5 on Kansas State was respectable. So I've got decent two-way action on this game, despite the fact that, again, the count is about 5-1 in favor of TCU. My money involved is basically dead even, so it's a nice spot for us. I mean, we've got sharps kind of going both ways. Got public on TCU, which you can expect. We're sitting at 10 -15 right now, and again, the -9 was sharp, the plus 10.5 was respectable as well. So we're 10 -15 is kind of just accounting for what the public's going to be betting TCU. So the total, though, I do have sharp action on the total. They came in at under 65.5. Sharp players there. We're sitting at 63 right now. I mean, it's crazy when you look at TCU and some of the numbers they run up. I mean, they're scoring 50 points, 55, 56, 70. I mean, they're scoring crazy numbers in this team. But sharps did come on the under, and that was at 65.5.
Yeah, no, that was my first lean as well. And in week 1, TCU had a game that went to 40.
You're starting to sound real sharp, Peter. Alabama under, TCU under. You're picking them all here. It's like we almost had this conversation before.
When you hear my reasoning for it, I just looked at the ESPN past scores and I saw, TCU 23-17 against Minnesota in week 1. So I thought, oh, maybe they could do something like that again. All right, and
I
so
guess we won't accuse you of over handicapping then.
Right. The sharp action on TCU, the action that you said was respectable on TCU and Kansas State, was that sharp action, list guys, or was that just respectable, deep-pocketed guys?
They were just guys who are very respectable. The guys who might grind out a little bit of money at the end, at end of the year, but neither the guys who are on the list, but guys who are good and maybe have like a lifetime figure of doing okay, but not specifically sharp in college football or not, just good in generally. But again, when they go back and forth against each other, again the -9 and plus 10.5, it gives you an idea that 10 the -15 is probably your number.
Okay, fair enough. So clear sharp action on the under in Arkansas, Alabama, and clear sharp action on the under at 65.5 in TCU, Kansas State. But other than that, not much to speak of from these 3 games. What else can you tell us about the rest of the card for college football week 6, Brent?
Temple's was a sharp side early in the week. I got Temple money -14.5. We went all the way up to like 15.5. Haven't really got anything back. We're sitting 15.5 and 15 right now, but that's a game where it's pretty much one side, about 3-1 in favor of Temple there. They're at home to Tulane. Again, we're like 15.5 right now. The sharp money came at -14.5. Right. Arkansas and Alabama, we touched on the under 50.5 being sharp. The Mississippis are interesting in terms of sharp action. I have Mississippi State -29 in sharp action there. Mississippi State -40.5. So both of those teams I got sharp action. Again, right now, I've got a lot of public money on Mississippi, which is no surprise. I have more public money on Mississippi State as well. But both Mississippi State -29.5 and Mississippi -40.5 were sharp plays. Mississippi at home to New Mexico State. Also have sharp money on the under that same game. So Mississippi, New Mexico State under 71.5 was sharp. That number's been driven all the way down to 66.5 and 67, Peter. So that's very one side in terms of the total. Central Florida, that's another game where I've got one-sided action on the sharps at least. They're laid Central Florida at home to Connecticut at a pick. I'm going to call, I don't really want to call Connecticut a public side, but my wager count is about 3-1 in terms of the number of wagers I've taken. About 3-1 in favor of Connecticut, and my money is about 2-1 in favor of Central Florida. And the money I took on Central Florida was sharp, and it was at a pick. TCU Kansas State is another game where I've got sharp money on the under 65.5, as we touched on. And Iowa State, I have 3 different sharps involved in this game, and they're all on Iowa State. They came in at +13, +12.5, and +11.5, all on Iowa State. They are at Texas Tech. Texas Tech is down to 10.5 right now. My wager count is about 4-1 in favor of Texas Tech, and my money's 2-1 in favor of Iowa State. So again, that's another sharp public split. Sharps on Iowa State and the public on Texas Tech.
Interesting information as always. Brent from BetDSI. Talk to you again tomorrow for NFL Week 5.